What's up, guys? How's it going? Wednesday night hangout, Wednesday link. We got some news to get into, everything else. But Thomas, what's up?
Listen, Wednesday before another matchup against the New York Giants, BG is back, which was wild to see at practice today. I'm sure we'll talk about that. The trade deadline is a couple of weeks away. People are expecting the Eagles to make a move. Is it going to be for Trey Hendrickson or, Max Crosby like we would hope? Probably not. You never know, though. We'll see. Things can definitely change in the next couple of weeks. And then injuries, right? A.J. Brown skipped practice today, which I think is probably where we should start, Josh. But overall, welcome people into the chat here. We'll have some fun for the next hour. And feeling good, though. Let's just say this. Feeling pretty good.
There you go.
I know it wasn't perfect on Sunday versus the Minnesota Vikings. But if we'd have been 4-3 right now, Josh, on this live, it would have been depression all throughout the comments. And instead, 5-2. Passing game looks good. Not perfect, but we're feeling pretty good.
Yes, 100%. And you're right. Drop a like for us. We appreciate you guys, as always. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Jay Battle's going for a bike ride, but listening to us. So hopefully not too distracting. But we appreciate
That's
that,
right.
hanging out with us.
Eyes on the road.
Yeah, two hands on the steering wheel there. But yes, good news. And I titled this thing right before we went. We were texting about this, but it was like, hey, the Eagles are headed in the right direction, but can they keep this up?
Yes.
And we're going to take a little bit of a shift there. We will talk about that, of course. But the bigger news as it came out, and so, like you said, probably just start here, is A.J. Brown. And it's not drama, so you can take a deep breath. It's not A.J. Brown drama.
Yes.
It's not anything that we're going into with that. So it's not him creating things that way. It's A.J.
Right.
Brown popping up on the injury report, which was totally just out of left field for me. I don't know of very many people that were like, oh, yeah, AJ's coming away from that game injured at the Vikings because he finished it, right? And so, anyway, there's the report. Obviously, you see it on your screen. AJ with the injury to the hamstring. Now,
Yes.
very quickly, because we'll get through all of this, then we'll obviously discuss it. But the initial reaction is, okay, oh my gosh, he's like a DNP. He was at practice, but he did not practice, right? So he was aside standing by Big Dom for most of it.
Yep.
The hamstring, we've seen it multiple times. It kept him out of a lot of training camp, most all of training camp. It's like, man, this is kind of a common denominator. We keep seeing this hamstring injury. We hate to see those, especially, receivers as they start to get a little bit older and they start to become more frequent with hamstring injuries. Is this going to be a problem? It still could be, but the silver lining is that it's not. It sounds like, I want to clarify, but it sounds like it's not as grave as the initial report, because then, and I'll scroll up here so that people can see the official, but shout out Jeff McClain of the Inquirer. So he follows up, gets some more info 10, 15 minutes later, whatever it was, and says, A.J. Brown, even though he didn't practice with the hamstring injury, but from what he understands, he is still tracking toward playing Sunday versus the Giants. So it's bad enough to have to list it on the injury report because they could have just said like rest, right? Like even if it was really, really minor, they could have just been like A.J. Brown rest. And we've seen them do that a number of times. But it's enough to list it on the injury report, but not quite so much to believe that, he won't play against your division rival.
Yeah, and listen, this is not a massive deal, obviously. I think it initially popped up, and it was, and then about 5 minutes before we went live on this show, we got the Jeff McClain report that you just mentioned, saying that he is trending. Doesn't guarantee anything. Doesn't mean he for sure is going to go ahead and actually play, but I think he's trending in the right direction. The one thought process here, if he weren't going to play, it's because of the bye week, right? And they would use the 2 weeks off versus the 1 week off, which is really 3 weeks off if they don't practice this week, right? I'm doing the math here. Yep. To go ahead and get him as healthy as humanly possible, which is fine, right? Philadelphia can beat the New York Giants without A.J. Brown. Now, I think the New York Giants are a very good football team. We'll talk about them here in a second because they did just beat us and make us look very, very bad, but they can win without A.J. Brown. And the question is, if he's 80+% healthy, he'll play on Sunday. If he's, 80- healthy or 80, down to 50%, I think that they rest him. Just something to monitor the next couple of days. If he's at practice tomorrow, then I think there's nothing to worry about. If he misses tomorrow, Josh, then we can go ahead and sound alarm bells and, freak out and all, have to just rely on Devontae Smith, who happens to be a top 6 receiver in yardage-wise so far this season. And
he does.
A little more Dallas Goedert. And then Jahan Dotson, who we all thought would do more than he's done so far this year. Not his fault, but that's just the way this offense goes.
They're going into a lot more heavy packages for the offense. So unfortunately, Jahan Dotson's not getting as much play time. But yes, it is for now more optimistic than we assumed or thought about 10, 15 minutes ago as the time that we started this recording. But for people that are coming in late, watching it back on record, that's where it's at right now as of Wednesday evening. for A.J. Brown. We'll keep you up to date as we get more info. Tomorrow's practice, like Thomas said. But overall, that's where that one was with A.J. Now, again, I'm going to pull up the injury report because it's not just A.J. The whole team's dead. It's a joke, obviously, but, people love to bring that up. As soon as you see it, it's like there's a laundry list of names. Now, every team is dealing with injuries, right? So it's also not just like, oh my gosh, Philly's just so devastating. It could be worse. Yeah. It could be much worse. We could be the Tampa Bay Bucks, right? But you still see there, you got AJ, as we discussed, Adoree Jackson with a concussion. A lot of these are not huge surprises. If you watch the game, saw the takeaways there, the game recaps that we discussed in the last couple videos. But Adoree Jackson, concussion, didn't practice. You figure he probably won't play, especially hearing what Vic Fangio said about Kelee, Ringo, Jacorian Bennett that you see on the page there has been the 21-day practice window. We'll see. You would also assume that he's going to have a chance, but Adoree Jackson, probably not. These are all speculative still, but you go based on the DNPs. Cam Jurgens, the knee, that one feels like he won't play on Sunday because he also wasn't at practice. If he was a DNP standing off to the side field, I know you want to give as much rest as you can, recover, rehab, all the other stuff, but he tried to go in the Vikings game. He put on a brace, tried to gut it out for a couple of drives, and we know how tough Cam Jurgens is because he did it in the NFC Championship game, right? Just trying to gut it out with the back injury.
Right.
So for him to not be able to finish the Vikings game and then also not be practicing, you got to plan on this anyway of somebody else is going to be your center. Is that a Brett Toth? Is that a Landon Dickerson, who's also on the report? You see ankle and back, but he hopefully should be fine. Do you move guys around? There's a whole lot of question marks for what you're going to do there at center.
Yep. It's going to be fascinating. And this is the one, not the one main concern because you just laid out the rest of the injury report. And we can talk about Adoree Jackson playing better than people are giving him credit. We'll talk about Jacorian Bennett, as I'm sure we will. But the one problem that you could see where the Giants win this football game, at least defensively, is getting pressure on Jalen Hurts and obviously stopping Saquon Barkley. Two things they did very, very well in that first matchup 2 weeks ago, right? They got multiple sacks on Jalen Hurts, and Saquon Barkley, except for the first couple of runs of the game, was limited as he's been all season long. And not having Cam Jurgens out there is going to be a major problem. It's not the same, I would say, as when Landon Dickerson was playing the past couple of weeks at 70%, and we were kind of being maybe he should sit out, maybe he should not. This knee seems significant enough where he probably is going to miss Sunday's game. I'd be very surprised if he does go out there and play. I'd be very happy if he does, but I think right now he'd be trending in a less than likely scenario. And if that case, then Brett Toth's got to step up. I know they obviously got Suopeta. They signed him to the practice squad today.
Yep.
That's probably an indication how they feel about Cam Jurgens. Does we want Suopeta playing out there? Probably not, but, no offense to him. But I think Brett Toth just got to go ahead and play better. And they also need to scheme a little bit better. For as great as Sunday was, Josh, and I think the under center play action and under center plays in general that weren't runs, as great as those were, we're still, here when it comes to the offensive play calling, and we need to get up here, right? We started down here the first couple weeks.
Yep.
It's moving. This week was the best we've seen. Still have to go further, and so you got to scheme to help Brett Toth. You got to make sure. I saw one All-22 film footage where it was an outside run, and they were trying to move Cam Jurgens and pull him like they usually do with Kelsey, pull him to go around and pick up a linebacker on the edge. And the problem is that as soon as they lined up in that formation, they had run it 3 plays earlier, and the Vikings understood that, and so they went ahead and shifted their defense, and someone was further out, and Jurgens couldn't get there. You got to be smarter with stuff like that, either when Jurgens in there for sure, but especially if Brett Toth is going to be your starting center on Sunday, make it easier on him against a very good defensive front. Excuse me. The double Dexter Lawrence. And then, of course, hopefully Mailata and Lane Johnson hang on with Burns, who is going to play. He said so today. Thibodeau and the rest, Abdul Carter and the rest of them. So it is what it is. An offensive line injury, it is what it is. It's going to cause problems. Can you go ahead and mitigate those problems and provide the backups enough help to allow Jalen Hurts to cook down the field? Because the backside of this defense, especially as we saw in the fourth quarter versus the Denver Broncos, is susceptible to the pass. They can beat them through the air.
Yes, absolutely can. And you do wonder, again, it's Wednesday, it's injury reports. Some guys get rest. How significant is it? We're talking about the Eagles, also for the Giants as well. They have a number of different guys that were limited, that had or did not practice and or limited. So I could share that graphic for people also that were not aware. Obviously, you mentioned Brian Burns, who said that he would play, didn't participate with the hip or the foot injury, whatever it is there. But there's also cornerback Paulson Adebo, who did not participate, the knee injury, and safety Javon Holland. So we're talking about starters on defense, especially the secondary. Neither of those guys practiced with the knee injuries. Now they may also play, but the only one that we had, I think, if I'm not mistaken here, that verbally said like I'm good, I'm going to play, whatever, is Brian Burns. So to your point there, Thomas, I mean, even it's all hypotheticals on Wednesday, and this is every time what it is every single week. But that being said,
Yep.
it's like if AJ, whether he plays or not, you should have opportunities. Like there were chances even in the Giants game. We got blown out, but there were multiple chances. Jalen not hitting Smitty on the bomb, right? And Jalen having another opportunity to potentially, I know you could debate on where he's supposed to read and everything else, but had AJ for a touchdown if he had looked AJ's direction. So there's areas in the game.
Yes.
You go look at film on the Giants defense to attack them, even when they're at full strength. And now you take a look at their injury report and go, wow, okay, they could be down 2-3 starters on defense, or at least 2 to 3 significant players on defense. So, it's not the worst case scenario for the Eagles. Like we say, every team is dealing with injuries. And quite honestly, even as bad as, this guy's falling, the Eagles are dealing with all this, it's not as bad, like if we saw, there's 3 to 4 starters on either side of the ball for us that didn't practice, then we'd be going like, wait a second, here. Like that's to a much greater extreme, because there are a couple that we already know we're hearing for Philly that, should be good to go, should be playing on Sunday. So we'll see.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah. Always question marks though. And it's the joy, I guess, of the midweek, right? It helps us get through it too. On a positive note, though, we could share this too, and I'm sure a lot of people have already seen it by now. But BG in a uniform, right? How cool
about
is that?
A Kelee Green practice.
I was going to say Kelee Green practice.
Come on.
It gave me. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because it's the Kelee Green. It gave me the feeling of when Julio Jones was, back here, because I think the first practice was the Kelee Green practice.
Yes.
And obviously, BG's been here for forever.
Didn't think about that.
But still, like, I saw that, I'm like, man, like just the vet back there, the vibes, we got it. So, limited work. BG's a full participant, getting in that. But he did say, like, yeah, it's a little different now going back out there in pretty good shape, but trying to play and talk and everything. It's like after 4 plays, got to tap out. Like, all right, let me get a break here. But again, that being said, and you go back to the injury report too that I can share. Azeez Ojulari, hamstring injury, DNP. A lot of the general consensus is that he won't play. You're already short on edges to begin with. It's kind of feeling like, even though the initial report was, BG's going to be, good to go play at the Packers, it's starting to feel like we might see BG this weekend.
Yeah, I think he's going to play. And I think less important is if he plays, and more important, how Vic Fangio wants to use him. How are they going to go ahead and slowly introduce him? Because what we saw with Nakobe Dean, I think, is a pretty good indication of what Vic likes to do. Now, Dean is coming off a completely different scenario, right? Obviously, did not play in the Super Bowl, had an actual injury, whereas, Brandon Graham had a tricep, but a lower body is definitely different. You get the point.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put him out there for 6 special teams plays, and then they throw him right in there. I would not be surprised if you see Brandon Graham get some edge rusher snaps, very limited amount, 10, 15 would be kind of crazy in my opinion. I'd be surprised if he gets 15 edge rusher snaps, but he gets his feet wet. He's going to be extremely, excited, motivated. The adrenaline's going to be going nuts. Get him back on his sea legs. Get the sea legs underneath him. Go to the bye week. Really get him ramped up during the bye week. And then as many snaps as he needs or wants, or whatever Vic Fangio feels like is necessary against the Green Bay Packers. My big question is going to be, going forward, how productive can he be? He sounds like it's the exact same BG that we had last year pre-Rams injury, which was the highest graded pass rusher on the Philadelphia Eagles. If that's what you get, it's just going to be a crazy good move. And I'm on record. You can go find my tweet saying, TBH, he should have stayed retired. This is dumb. Blah, blah, blah. Right? That was my initial reaction. Was like, why is he doing this? He just want to have a champion. And the more I thought about it, Josh, the more I totally understand that BG felt great last year. And he understood that he was the best edge rusher on that unit pre-Nolan Smith going off, right? And I think that because he got injured, he felt like it was cut short too much so much to the fact that he didn't really finish the season in his mind in the right space and
Hmm.
playing in the Super Bowl, whatever. That game was so weird. They barely even used him, right? He was out there by the time the game was virtually over and he ran around a little bit and then got hurt with the tricep. And he
Right.
was never really supposed to play in that game. The tricep was not healthy. It was more of like a, hats off to you, get out there one last time, whatever. He wants to go out on top, actually playing the game that he loves. And if he thinks he's healthy, which is the only person who truly knows, it's himself, then good luck. I'm all for it. I'm pumped to see what he can do.
Yeah.
And I think as long as they still add another edge rusher at the trade deadline, that new edge rusher plus BG plus Nolan Smith after the bye, you could suddenly instantly fix the defensive line issues and start getting a lot more sacks, which then helps everybody out from the linebackers to the secondary, the safeties, and so on.
Yeah, it would be much, much nicer. And if nothing else, too, because we've also said this, it's like just for the morale of the locker room. What it does for the guys around there, and you listen to them talking to different sound bites that we heard from right after the game, the past couple of practice or the last practice, the last couple press conference clips of players like, BG back in the building. What's that like?
Yeah.
How's it been?
Yeah.
Everybody's for it. Why wouldn't you be? It's BG. So, if he, and I think Nakobe was the first one. I've heard multiple players, but Nakobe say this. It's like, even if he doesn't play, just to have his presence in that locker room, it does benefits for the team. So I'm kind of right there with you. My initial reaction was the same thing. It's like, yeah, is he going to move the needle? I don't think so, but maybe he does. But is he going to? He should, just like stay retired. The storybook ending, all the other stuff there. But as you mentioned, like he wants to go out on his own terms, and clearly didn't feel like he was done. So you know what? If that's the case, and he wants to come back, and there's something that the team, the players feel like he can bring to the locker room, and also potentially on the field, then sure, let's go for it. Because especially even if it's not as much in the pass rush, I think setting the edge in the run game has never been. I mean, that's 100%, like never been an issue. A huge strength, massive for what BG could do. So you talk about sometimes like, oh, you're kind of shorted right now with not too many edges to begin with. Jalen Hunt has been susceptible against the run at times. Azeez Ojulari was okay at best. Josh Uche was not good. So, hey, obvious running downs, maybe get some other stints. But I agree. I mean, you look at it for this game against the Giants, I would be shocked if it's more than like about 10 snaps. You think two, maybe 3 snaps a quarter at most that he gets out there on the field. And then again, you're talking about somewhere in the range of 10 to 12 snaps. But still, just to see him out there, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty nice sight.
And I think quickly here, if we're going to get to these super chats,
Mm-hmm.
I think Jalen Hunt post-game, when he was asked, and of course we knew that BG was coming back at that point, but it wasn't official, you could see Jalen Hunt light up. And Jalen Hunt is getting close. Like, interception aside on Sunday versus the Vikings, Jalen Hunt had his best game. 5 hurries, 3 quarterback hits, couple of pressures. Like, he's really starting to come into his own. If BG can help just unlock that little extra motivation or give him that little tip on the sideline or whatever, you get the Jalen Hunt that we had in the playoffs last year, in the Super Bowl last year against Joe Tooney on that left side.
Mm-hmm.
That plus Nolan Smith plus Jalen Carter starting to come into his own. This defensive line could start becoming what we all expected, and in a very crowded NFC, because it's loaded and there's problems everywhere. If you get a serious pass rush, Josh, you can beat every single one of these NFC teams. And if they have to come
easily
to the link on top of that, good luck. It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely, easily. And I've said this like so many different times on live streams and the videos and everything there too. But it's like you're really close. So you just get that extra little bit from the pass rush. And a combination of rushing together, the communication piece, whatever it is. But, Jalen Hunt and Jalen Carter, 21 pressures. Yeah. They're the only 2 guys in the NFL with that many pressures or more that don't have a sack, right? So there's 37 players. 35 players at least have 1 sack. For some reason, somehow, Jalen Hunt, Jalen Carter, 0 sacks up to this point. So it will happen. It should happen at some point. The odds, the law of averages say that it's going to. It's just taken way too long.
Which, by the way, just to answer a comment, I haven't seen as a super chat, which we'll get to, but I saw people asking how much is BG costing us. We don't know. I don't know if you've seen. We have no clue what his contract is.
Yeah, I've not.
I'm sure it is pennies. I'm sure it's like $1 million. It's got to be a very light. I'm sure there's some incentives in there, But BG is not coming back because he needs an extra $1 million. Trust me on that one. I think he's doing just fine. He's coming back because he wants to play. He wants to be with this team. He probably misses the whole, day in and day out of football, and obviously thinks they can win a championship again. So money-wise, it's definitely less than $4 million, right? I mean, max. It's going to be very little. Does not hurt the cap. Doesn't hurt us next year, and obviously does not hurt our chances of signing or trading for anybody in the coming weeks.
There you go. Which there's a little less than 2 weeks from the trade deadline. So for those that are wondering,
2 weeks.
Always there with the first Tuesday. David with a 5.
The day after I'm having my baby.
I was going to say.
It's going to be very interesting.
Yes.
We'll probably have some breaking news live streams from a hospital room. We'll see. So we'll see how that goes.
So I was going to say, it was a good segue into this super chat here. So Dave with a 5, appreciate that. Says, gave Josh 5 last night. Here's one for Thomas's diaper fund, headed from Virginia to the link the first time Sunday. Let's go. Hope to see AJ and BG and Kelee Green.
There you go. Well, you should see both of them and have fun for the first time. It's an absolute blast. And Kelee Green games, we went to the Miami Dolphin one a couple years back. It's something else. It's like a total blast. And thank you for the diaper fund notification, or the super chat there. Yes, baby Mott. Baby number 1 comes on Monday, November 3rd. It is all scheduled and ready to go.
Right around the corner.
Barring changes, but that is the day that we've been told. There's a little bit of stuff going on, nothing crazy, but we'll be having the baby on that day officially. So that's like 10 days from today, which is crazy to think about. It's nuts, but we're very excited.
It's crazy.
It's just crazy. It's nice that the Eagles don't play a game on Sunday because it's the bye week. Because normally I do a recap show on Monday, and so now instead I'll go have a baby, which is like the same thing.
Sure. Yeah.
It's basically the same thing.
I'll leave it at
right?
that. Yeah, basically. It's game day. That it is.
Man.
There's some vibes there. Have you shared with people a name picked out yet? Or
yes, baby girl. No, I mean I haven't shared it on the channel, but Lily. That's the name.
Okay, that's what I say. I know that people were because we were all taking bets last time of like, is it going to be Jordan or just like
it's
Jalen.
Not, it's not Eagles
Nakobe.
based. It's a girl too. It made it a little hard, right? I mean Jalen, Jordan, whatever you want. If it was a guy, I'm telling you, I was pushing for Cooper. That name was 100% in play.
Yeah, I could see
if
that
it was a baby boy, and then it's a girl. So a little baby girl. Very exciting.
Go. Well, congratulations. I know I've said that many times, but I know people were asking multiple times on the stream too if we had gotten if you had gotten the name picked out. But yes, I think that's probably better than your other options there. It's only some of those work. Somebody said Kelsey, I think, was one of them that was kind of like, okay, you can kind of see that one, right? But
Kelee too.
Kelee
would be very cute. Yeah, it would be good.
Hank with a 2, appreciate that. Hank says, let's see, stop. Oh yes, for F's sake, stop running every 1st and 10, and then in all caps, predictable. They've been a little better. They've been a little better.
They have.
They're still
Hank
predictable.
also said. He commented again saying my donation is also for diapers. My B-Day is November 1st. So thank you, Hank, by the way.
Oh, right around
They
the corner.
are predictable. Yes. And I do think that we have to acknowledge that Sunday does not absolve Kevin Patullo of all sins because he still has plenty. But it definitely is an improvement. And that's what we're looking for right now. It's crazy when you're a 5-2 football team, Josh. It's like we're hoping the offense is somewhat good, and yet it was a little bit better. And so I think that there's a real chance that they are going to start to figure out the running game. The running game is not dead. Saquon will go for 100 yards at some point this year. I'm sure he's frustrated. He's handling it extremely well, but he's not getting help up front, and that's my big problem. I'm not saying that it's all offensive line blocking, but it's definitely not all Kevin Patullo calling bad plays, because I think especially on Sunday, as you just mentioned, there was some more variety. There was some outside zone runs. For weeks we've been calling for that, and they did do that, and it's not hitting on it. What I do know is that Saquon Barkley is the exact same player he was last year. There is no difference in his speed, in his burst, in his jump, in his ability. The times he's been given holes, the first couple runs of the Giants game, he's hit them. Like the times he's gotten the holes, he's been able to it's right there. The holes are just so darn few and far between that what are you going to do? It's just crazy how little running room he has had. And the second that is fixed, Philadelphia's going to have a massive offensive onslaught led by Saquon Barkley.
It's going to be just such a breath of fresh air to finally, it's kind of in a way, I don't know what's like hindsight being 2020. There's that element to it and recency bias. So I feel like I know 100% the answer here but like what's crazier, not scoring in the first quarter for 9 weeks, right? Because that's happened last year, or up to this point, through 7 weeks, Saquon Barkley's not run for over 100 yards. I think recency bias is Saquon.
Right.
But
right.
with this offense, right? I mean, like we were saying it every single week. It was like, how is this possible? How is this possible? You cannot script a game plan to march down the field and score. Like, how does that not happen?
I don't know.
Yet it did. So I don't know if this is our 2024 version of slow starts. We'll all take it, because if it ends well, then we're fine. But yeah, it's ridiculous, the fact that it's taking this long. And yes, to the play calling, very cautiously optimistic, but it's been better with Kevin Patullo.
Yep.
And it was 10 of the 18 Saquon carries that were either outside zone or outside tosses. So for people that are like, oh my gosh, the inside zone, just spam it like crazy. It was early, but it was more than 50% of outside play calls, zone and everything else that we wanted to see, and which was like 4.3 yards a carry, and it was a little better. But Brett Toth, and I mentioned this on the live stream and a couple other times, but Brett Toth has just completely butchered it. It's not on one player. It's not just on him, but man, it's not watching it from him, especially whenever he got in, the difference of Cam Jurgens being in there versus whenever Toth was. But yeah, they got to get answers. It's surely a matter of time. I keep taking that bet. I'm a sucker for it, I'm sure. But
I've done it every single week.
Over on the yards, it's just one of them that I'll throw out there because it has to happen. And at this point, I got so much equity in stake at it. It's like,
That's right.
I can't miss out on it when it does happen. So you just got to go ahead and double down. It's just every single time. The same way. So maybe this week.
Maybe there's a blessing in disguise here that Saquon is having less touches and less yards, meaning less wear on the tires, and then he just explodes in the postseason.
Sure,
goes crazy, which
we would take
didn't really matter last year because he still exploded, even though he ran for a bunch of yards. But
it's fair.
Yes. Yeah, I think they're going to figure it out. I wanted to ask you, first off, do we have any super chats before I ask you a question?
We've actually got several. I've been delayed on, so you want me to run through those?
Okay.
Corey with a 10. Appreciate that real quick. Just absolutely love keeping up with the Eagles news. Thanks to you guys. Thank you for that, Corey. Thanks for all the hard work. Both of you guys. Go Birds.
Go Birds. We appreciate that. It's not the hardest work, but we do put a lot of effort, I would say, into our channels. And we appreciate, obviously, with views and subscribers and stuff, like that's how you guys show that you like the shows. But we appreciate the comments as well, because we do work very hard to make these shows as interesting as possible, I would say, but also something that we ourselves would want to watch. That's what I always tell people. It's like, why did you start this channel? Because I felt like nothing like it existed. Like there was no quick news update. There was no BS and all what was going on. And so we built that, and we appreciate you guys watching it, and we appreciate the shout out for the hard work, because it was a lot of hard work, and now it still is hard work, but it's a lot of fun.
Yes, absolutely. You guys are the best. Y'all make it possible, obviously, because
100%.
Wouldn't be even out here. So, and why we do all the crazy giveaways. Shout out to Jamar. Welcome to Let's Run It membership, or welcome back, cuz. Dylan with the 5. Instead of a defensive trade, what do you think about Cleveland's guard Wyatt Teller to help out? Saquon averaged less than he did with the Giants.
I have seen people mention offensive line as a trade deadline option, and I don't hate it. But the question is, do you replace Steen, right? Are you going to give up on Tyler Steen? I don't think Steen's been the biggest problem. I think the bigger problem has been the health of Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens. I don't think either of them have been 100%, besides the fact they've told us that. So do you then get an offensive lineman as like a plug-and-play fill-in guard for Dickerson? Do you get a backup center? Do you just bench Tyler Steen? Like, I just don't see how that actually works. I think what they need is a bye week. I think that they got to get through this week, gut out a win against the best defensive line in football, or one of the best, and then relax, PT, work with the athletic trainers, whatever is possible, and then try and get healthy. I think in the offseason, when you have a full offseason, internally you can scout and decide if you want to spend a high draft pick on an offensive lineman. I think they will do something at offensive line early, the next, first 3 rounds of next year's draft. But I don't know if trade deadline makes sense. We've also not heard any reporting they're looking at offensive line. We have heard a ton of reporting as of a couple of hours ago that they're still looking for edge rusher and cornerback. And so I think that's where they're going to go ahead and, put their efforts and their money.
Yes, I agree, because you've only got so many spots to use. And like you're saying there, it doesn't feel appropriate to make a trade for a bigger name individual and then replace it completely. But then if you do that, then okay, yeah, you're making a move for a rotational guy. So I agree. Damon's with a 5. Thanks for that. Says, is it me or is Jalen not running like last year? Are they trying to make him a pocket quarterback?
I don't know. They keep asking him this in press conferences, Josh. You and I watch those for our shows religiously, and like every single time there's a press member asking, "Are they going to start running you more?" They ask KP, "What about running more?" The answer has been they are calling RPOs, so they are calling plays where Jalen has the option to read properly and run the football, and he's choosing not to. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the excuse. Now, Patullo's like Sirianni. You get a lot of words and not a lot of substance. You wish Vic Fangio could answer the offensive questions, but that's neither here nor there. I would like some more design quarterback runs, but I do think there is this thought in the back of their head every single year after the midway point of the season, Jalen Hurts is getting hurt on a run. Right? You go back to the Bears game, he's running with the football and gets hit.
Yeah.
You go to the Commander game, he's running with the football and gets hit. He's never been a guy who gets hurt for the long term, knock on wood, but he has been a guy that will run and then take an unnecessary hit. And it's more like not even a necessary hit. He was sliding against the Commanders and got speared in the back and, whatever. But I think that that's part of it. Now, I think you still need to make teams and make defenses honest by running Jalen a little bit more than they are right now. And maybe that helps if you get a little back into the RPO game, hit a couple of quarterback runs, and then maybe you get a defense to freeze for a second, and you do give it to Saquon Barkley so he can break a run out. I don't know. I do think you can add a little bit more in there, but I get why they would be a little bit more cautious because of the history of him running out of the pocket, taking a shot, and then he's done for a couple of weeks, and they don't want to have that happen, plus a worse injury, and then be without their quarterback one for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and like you said, Jalen himself has mentioned multiple times, it's not up to him. Like, it's not his decision to go, I don't want to run the football. It's just, this is kind of how it's played out. Now, yes, on the options part, it is his call and his decision, but in terms of, we saw even a lot more like literal just designed quarterback runs in the past, and we haven't seen those. So it's a fair point. I mean, you haven't needed to use it yet. So, if nothing else, I mean, Damon's it's totally a fair question and a fair point.
Right.
You keep it in your back pocket for later because teams aren't expecting. They're like, hey, Jalen's not running as much this year. Save it all the way till the playoffs, maybe. And then I was like, what the heck? I love it, but we haven't seen it all year. And maybe you just use it for those games. So I wouldn't mind it then. Daryl with a 5. Appreciate the Daryl. Did you talk about A.J. Brown's Instagram post already? And did you see Jalen's reaction to it? We have not talked about the Instagram post yet.
But we did see Jalen's reaction.
Jalen's reaction. Funny. Yes. Yep.
Yes. I'm sure we'll have that on our shows tomorrow where he basically says, I was briefed by Eagles PR, which is funny that they have to do that, but that's how it works in pro
right, because they know that you did.
Someone had to show him.
Here it is. If they tell but it's not that big of a deal, honestly. Like, people are trying to say this everything. And by the way, like, what is it? The using me but not using me quote that it was right on Instagram. So people are using or saying like, he was saying that as like complaining, like that he had a good game but he's still complaining about the offense. That's not at all what that means. Like, you got to think a little bit more about it of what the wording is there and how it is meant to be, I don't know, used, or the meaning behind it. He's essentially saying it's more so like, this is what I've been telling everybody for a long time. Like, now they're using me properly without using me. Like just go get cardio. Like that was a game. Because even in his post there, it's a excited, hyped up AJ, right? He posted a picture of him hyped up and excited. It wasn't a like post of him, depressed or sad or angry or anything like it was that. Now, is it a cryptic way to say it? Sure. And is it creating a lot of mess that is needless? Probably so. But it's not meant of like, I'm going to just jab another one here, they're just not using me. They're still not using me properly. Like, no, it was kind of like a final vindication to go, you threw the ball my way. Look what happened.
Yeah.
Like,
look what happened.
Torched them. Yeah. So I don't know. It's always something. I
just don't care. Like, I really don't care what AJ Brown posts on social media. I know that radio stations love to get a click out of it, and they love to have their segment about how dramatic AJ Brown is. Do we understand what actual wide receiver drama looks like? Did we see the Antonio Brown years when he was with the Patriots? I mean, we have seen actual wide receiver drama that is detrimental to a football team that is 50 times worse than A.J. Brown posting a cryptic message on his Instagram, right? It's so ridiculous. And if I'm A.J. Brown, Do you think A.J. Brown at this point just likes to troll people? He probably is at this point. If I was A.J. Brown at this point in my
Totally.
career where I've done it all, I've proved it all, everyone knows I'm right, even if I am complaining, like obviously get the football to A.J. Brown, wouldn't you just be like, I can literally make an entire radio station or an entire media freak out by posting 4 or 5 words? Why not? He's still a guy. He's just hanging out, like having a good time. Talk trash with your boys. Like, hey, watch what I can post on Instagram. People will freak out. I just don't care. If A.J. Brown was posting stuff and then being dramatic on the sidelines, which he has been in the past, right, and not producing, not running through routes, dropping easy passes, looking disinterested, sure, we could have a whole conversation about it. But A.J. Brown just had 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards. Well, Devontae Smith had 9 catches for over, 190? It's much to do about nothing. I really don't care. They're not trading him. They physically can't trade him. And unless he wants to go out there and sell, essentially, I could care less what he posts on Instagram as long as it doesn't hurt people. And posting use me without using me or whatever he said hurts nobody. And really, no one wants to listen to 10 minutes of a talk show even discuss this because nobody actually cares, in my opinion. So that's my take on it. I don't care. I like A.J. Brown. I happen to think he's a cool guy. I happen to think he's the best receiver in football. And I happen to agree with him. Maybe we should throw the football to him more often than not. And guess what? Good things happen.
There we go. Yes, it's been point proven. And as Siler said here, did you not watch the most recent video? Literally troll with a TV dinner dude. He's a jokester, which he loves to troll. He is. He likes to joke. He likes to poke fun.
He's a funny guy.
It's what he does.
Yes.
So yes, there's going to be those cryptic tweets, posts, everything else. But as Matt says, just work out in your driveway, AJ.
Oh my gosh.
We don't want that.
That would be the ultimate
don't want
troll.
That.
That'd be almost funny, as long as it doesn't cause
kind of, but it's also
one
like
ensued afterward. Yes.
Maybe not. Let's not do that. Let's not start that.
Yeah.
But yes, okay, so Aisha with the 2, appreciate that, Aisha. Hey guys, joining late, what does the caption mean? So what our title here, and I know people here, the AJ Brown because the Instagram. Yeah. That was not it, because we were 15 minutes before going live, and I'll put it up on the screen again because we were talking about it a second ago. But as far as where the injury report was, AJ Brown initially popped up in the injury report as DNP, hamstring injury, kind of definitely upsetting. But then there was further clarification later, which we learned right as we were literally on the live, is for Jeff McClain saying AJ didn't practice with the hamstring injury, but from what I understand, he'll play against the Giants. So that's where it is. Could be, it's a lingering issue of sorts because we continue to see him have injury with the hamstring, but nothing too major, nothing too drastic. Eddie with the 5. We all agree edge rusher is needed, but how much draft capital is Howie Roseman willing to spend? Will it be a multi-year deal? Just don't want to issue issues next year. It's true.
Well, it's a great point. And I think the 2 main edge rushers we think about are Hendrickson and Chubb. Hendrickson is not signed through 2025 or through 2026. And so he would be a short-term rental. I think you would give up a mid-round draft pick, a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. That's my, day 2 pick. They would not give up a 1 for Trey Hendrickson. No one will. Max Crosby is apparently off the board. But Max Crosby is like the 9th highest paid edge rusher. He makes like $35 million a year. He is somebody you could give a serious draft pick for because he does have a team-friendly contract, but they're obviously not going to trade him. But still, Bradley Chubb would also be like a 4th or a 5th. He'd be cheap to go ahead and trade for because Miami not going anywhere fast. They don't need him. They also understand his age and his injury history, and he has no guaranteed money in his contract next year. So all of them make financial sense. Now, a 2 versus a 3 versus a 2 plus a 5, whatever, right? The Eagles have 10 draft picks. I think that when you have the roster you currently have, you are obligated to spend some of your future draft capital to make sure you're good to go this year. This is a wide open NFC and a wide open NFL season, despite what people will tell you about the Chiefs and the Lions and the Bucks, like anybody's game. And Philadelphia has a better roster than all of them. And if they get firing on all cylinders, adding in an edge rusher, I think, can put them over the top. And so I'm fine with adding with spending draft capital. I'm especially fine with doing like a 3 and a 2027 5. Or a 4 that could become a 3 based on incentives. That makes perfect sense and would be financially responsible at the same time in case we were to have a Bryce Huff situation where the guy comes here and sucks, right? So I think that they are going to be smart. They will not give up a first-round draft pick unless, Max Crosby's available, but that's not going to happen. So expect a day 2 draft pick plus maybe something else on day 3. And I think it's going to be worth it no matter what because they do have money to spend this year to absorb contracts. And technically, even with Jalen Carter's deal and probably a Jordan Davis deal next year, they have some wiggle room because Howie Roseman's the GM.
Totally. Yep. And I've dropped in a little bit more info on that in the video a little later this evening.
There
But
you go.
on that same topic, though, I will say the thought of, because think about it for like, different angles, the trade deadline, everything else here, it was like, that Howie was willing to, for the right person, so clarify this, but for the right person, Howie is willing to spend big. And that means trade and or contract status, right? Because
Sure.
Micah Parsons, now there's only one Micah Parsons. There's a couple edges, I think, that you could say, a couple pass rushers that would be at that same level that you go, okay, maybe they're worth spending for. But Howie was willing to trade massive draft capital, right? I mean, the 2 first-round picks,
Massive.
the 3rd round, I think, the 5th round, other assets not mentioned too, is what the report was. So not only was he willing to do that, but then you think into it and go, well, if you make that trade, then again, it didn't happen. It's all hypothetical. But if it was to the point of trading, then he already had it worked out. How do you get Micah Parsons on this roster, and how do you take care of Jalen Carter?
Yep.
He already had that planned and already had it figured out, which means
he already did. Mm-hmm.
If you want to go get another guy, there's no issues. There's no like, oh, well, how in the world are they going to figure out to pay another guy $40 million and still take care of their own? He has it somehow, the wizardry of the cap and everything else, he has it figured out. So I don't know. It seems crazy. It seems ridiculous, especially when it's like, man, they have all these guys already. But the fact that he was willing to make that trade, it was going to happen, is not. And I think that most everyone is in the same page here to go, oh, wow, he was willing to lose Jalen Carter. No. He was not going to lose Jalen Carter just to get a Micah Parsons there. He was going to have both, and he had figured out a way to do it. Just the Cowboys, were actually smart on one thing to go, nah, even though it's a better offer than the Packers, we're not trading it to you.
And BG back, but Nolan Smith coming back, that helps a ton.
Oh,
and
for
I
sure.
think
100%.
Uche is a very good situational edge rusher. Like, if you have Jalix and Nolan playing at the starting positions, playing well, and then you have 2 subs in Uche and obviously BG, and then you add in another edge rusher. So you have a 5-person rotation. Maybe Ojulari gets in the mix. Who knows? We'll see how long his injury is. That's a serious defensive line or defensive edge unit. And then Jalen Carter, as Vic Fangio mentioned yesterday, this was his best game of the entire season versus the Vikings. And we saw what happens whenever he starts to dominate. All of that combined means you're having an edge rusher group and a defensive line that is leagues better than what we've seen so far through 7 weeks. And so I'm all for it. I am convinced that they're going to make a move at the trade deadline. I am also still pretty confident corner is in play. I want to guarantee without having any inside information they're going to get an edge because I feel so confident in it. Who knows? Yeah. I feel like it's 90% chance they go edge, and I feel like it's probably 70% chance they go corner, and I think it's probably 80% chance they go both. Like, I really think Howie's sniffing around there, and I think Tariq Woolen makes a ton of sense, whether you like him or not, and I think Bradley Chubb or Jalen Phillips plus Woolen is kind of what I would put my money in right now.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Definitely Miami.
Definitely Miami. Sure Miami.
I will be shocked.
For sure Miami.
If there's nothing that comes from Miami to the Eagles, because it feels like it's only a matter of time. I'm surprised it hasn't already happened, but I mean, the combination of Mike McDaniel press conferences, the team playing terribly, Tua, who probably shouldn't have a microphone at this point. Like, I don't know what's being said as a starting quarterback. Like, if you haven't heard Tua, you can very easily search for it and find it. His press conferences, the last three that he's spoken.
Crazy.
I mean, bro, you're talking yourself out of a job. Like, you're literally getting yourself benched in the process of having these press conferences.
Hates it there.
But
he must hate it.
Yeah, it's not in a good way. So they're in the wrong direction. So things could be a whole lot worse. But, capitalize, maybe get those trades. 48 way with a 5. To be honest, our team is built on dominating the trenches on both sides until we regain our dominance up front. It's not going to matter what plays are called. It is fair. It's not all play calling.
I agree. You can help your offense and defensive line with play calling. I think Vic does a great job of that. I think KP does not. But at the same time, as Jordan Mailata would tell you if he was sitting in this room with us, he'd say, listen, we got to block better. And that starts with him. I mean, Jordan Mailata had some bad blocks on Sunday. He had a rough game versus the New York Giants. I mean, in the end, the comment is right? You have to go ahead and win up front, and Philadelphia's not done that so far.
Yep. 100%. J-Sid with a 5 also. Great job, Justin Thomas. Patullo attacked the flats with Saquon like Detroit did with Gibbs. Flats are wide open. Bucks had no answer.
They definitely are. And I mean, Jameer is a different type of player, but they could do it with Saquon. They've done it at times with Dallas Goedert, though, and it feels like they kind of get off of that, right? They need to script plays early in games to force teams into playing man coverage. And you saw that in the Vikings game, right? End of the game, they're going with an all-out blitz that gets man on the outside for A.J. Brown, and they burned him, right? On that 3rd down and 4, 4th down and 4, whatever it was. The problem is, early in games, they've not been beating man, and so they're staying in man the entire time, or they're shredding zone. They switch, or shredding man, they then switch to zone against Philadelphia, and they can't beat the zone. If you can set up early, and this helps running the football against zone defenses is a great way to do it, because then they bring more people down to the box, create man isolation outside. If they can do that, they can then start dictating, and that's the word that we keep wanting the Eagles to say, right? Not reacting to what defenses are doing, dictating what defenses are doing. They did that the entire season in 2024. They dictated the entire playoff run, especially in the Super Bowl. Once they figure out how to dictate early and scheme to help them be able to do that, I think we'll see a lot more complete games and good running days from Barkley and more games through the air like we saw versus the Minnesota Vikings. So yeah, it is true. All of it's true. But I do think KP can help his team out by calling some better plays. And I think he's starting to figure it out as well.
The last thing that the rest of the league wants to see is the Eagles figure out the run game, because it's obviously terrible, but if they can, we've seen now the Eagles are winning without a run game. It's kind of a scary prospect, because you're looking at it going, the Eagles are 5-2, and they've beaten really good teams. They've beaten a ton of over 500 teams. There's only one team they've even played that's below 500, being the Giants. And, ironically, we lost that game. But that was like, don't show up.
Yeah.
Don't play. But, they're going to get a chance to redeem themselves against the Giants. I'm hoping to see it. But, yeah, if they figure out the run game, it's pretty much a wrap. Going to get to these other super chats here. John with a 5. Smitty is on Pat Surtain and Terran Arnold's YouTube show. It's awesome. Roll Tide. Go Birds.
Oh,
and
cool.
also great shows, Josh and Thomas. Thanks.
Everybody has a YouTube show.
I
didn't even know that Pat Surtain had a YouTube show.
Didn't realize that either. Little Alabama one, though. That's pretty cool.
There you go.
All right. Multiple other super chats just came in, but I was very briefly caught up. I know that you had maybe a question, and it was a long time ago, so I don't know if you still remember that question.
Let's
just keep rolling through the super chats.
I don't. Roll through the super chats. Let me think.
Okay. All right. Caswell with a 5. Do you think Howie would pay a little more than he wants for Crosby to keep him off the Cowboys? He can be a game wrecker.
He would, but we've seen all the reports in the past 48 hours that the initial report that there would be a Cowboys that called the Raiders did not appear to be true. Now, there's a chance that the Raiders had leaked that, because I think people in Dallas were like, I called my Dallas contact, and they said we never called the Raiders. And so, Jane Slater was a good example of that. She's very plugged in with the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe the Raiders were trying to reveal to everybody that they're open for business, which they should be. I mean, they should trade Max Crosby. The problem is, if you don't understand how the Raiders work, if there's one guy who the owner, Mark Davis, loves like a son, it's Max Crosby. They love that guy, and they love each other. Like, that's a very close owner-player relationship. It's going to cost a lot. I think it would cost multiple first-round draft picks. And I think Crosby is not worth that due to his age. I think he's a fantastic player. I would give up 1 first-round draft pick for him. I would not give up 2. I think that Micah being younger made more sense in that case. You can argue that if you want, but I don't think Crosby is going to be traded. I think your best, highest option is Hendrickson, even though they've said that they're going to go for it. We still have 2 games for the Bengals before the NFL trade deadline. If you lose both of those to like the Bears and Jets, then they're definitely going to sell. Yep. Hendrickson's not worth a first, but I would give a second. I would give a second for Trey Hendrickson for even the rental, which people might think is crazy, but I think he's that good. So I do think Howie is willing to pay, and Josh explained that, where Howie was willing to pay more than what Green Bay offered. That was the report from the I think it was Fox Sports' Jay Glazer during the Packer trade, that Philly had offered more during the summer, but Jerry didn't want to send him to Philly, as smartly that was his correct call.
Yeah, could you imagine if Micah was on this defense? I know we're figuring some things out, but yeah, Dallas would be severely regretting that, as I think everybody understands and realizes. Maxwell with a 2. Chances that we see BG this Sunday. Go Birds. Kind of discussed
Like
it a little
99%,
bit briefly,
I would
but
say.
yeah, feels very likely, especially looking at the injury report. BG getting in some work, saying that he's pretty much ready. It's up to the coaches, but he could go. So I feel like
Yeah.
they'll put him out there. Maybe not a ton of snaps.
I think they will.
Like Thomas was saying earlier, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely good to go.
Yep.
Aisha, two more. A big Nakobe fan. Wasn't he great in the last game? Go Birds.
So good. I did not see
Heck yeah.
that coming. And Vic basically revealed that the plan was to just play Nakobe in base defense looks. And then I think because he looked so darn good, was like, oh, well, let's put him in at nickel. I mean,
Might as well.
that looked exactly like Nakobe Dean during the 2024 season. Looked like he hadn't missed a step. That play where he read the toss to the left, exploded through, the Eagles have a post on their Twitter in slow motion. That is why Nakobe Dean was on track to get a nice extension, probably this offseason had he not gotten injured. So that is very exciting. I think it is going to hurt Jihaad Campbell short term. I think in the long term, it'll be fine. Vic doesn't quite know what he's doing with Jihaad Campbell on the edge. Not that he doesn't know, but he hasn't quite figured out what he wants to do, because a lot of the edge rusher looks in nickel or even in base where Jihaad was at the edge, he was dropping back. He wasn't really rushing the passer. He was a spy sometimes. Then he would drop back sometimes. I think you just got to let him go ahead and attack the quarterback. But I think that Nakobe Dean is going to make this defense a lot better. And I think that we saw a lot of his impact early in this game versus the Vikings. Late, they came back a little bit, but obviously early.
First game, Eagles had held a team under 100 rushing yards. So, I mean, is it a random coincidence? Is it Nakobe Dean? Combination, maybe, of the two? But, yeah, we'll absolutely take that. Dom with the two. Should I trade Barkley in my fantasy league?
Depends on who you get.
I don't think so.
It depends on what your record is and depends on who you get. If I was a losing record, like I am in all my fantasy leagues, so maybe don't listen to me, and I had Saquon, I would trade him for a different package. But if I was ahead, if I was, plus 500, you keep him because we all think he's going to eventually start to go.
Oh, yeah. If that's fair. I mean, if you're winning your league despite what Saquon's doing, then your goal, you must have a pretty good team already. So once Saquon just kind of creeps back to the mean, to where he should be, it's going to be a wrap. You pretty much have this thing won. Hopefully didn't jinx you. But, I would say the same thing about AJ Brown also. Like, if you've somehow managed without AJ, because he's had a couple, but really last week was the first one. It's like, oh, thank you. That is what I was hoping for, from AJ Brown. Don't, because if he does have the progression to the mean, then you should be okay. But yeah, it's been rough for all of us. There's a reason why Thomas and I have not hit as many pick'ems as we had hoped when we initially did it with Underdog. But eventually, right, the offense is starting to come around. So maybe there's some more predictability. Maybe there's some more like, okay, we're going to take Saquon, because eventually Saquon's going to hit, but we'll take some of the other guys too.
Right.
And we'll get those. Owen with a 5. It's last super chat here, I believe. What's up, fellas? No questions today. Just want to support. Love you and Thomas Vids. Watch every video. Go Birds.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Owen.
You don't need a question to chat. That's fine. We appreciate the support there. So
means a lot. You guys are the best. Okay. Couple more minutes here before we wrap. Did you remember the question that you asked, or maybe we covered it all?
Adoree obviously was limited today, or has the ongoing injury. Are you playing Jacorian Bennett if he's ready to go? Do you if Adoree's 70%, are you playing Jacorian Bennett this weekend? What do you think?
For sure, 100. Yeah. I've got to play. Jacorian.
I think so too.
I've not seen.
I think so too.
Well, I shouldn't say I have seen enough from Kelee Ringo to go.
Yeah. We don't want to do that.
It's not going to happen, right? So we definitely don't want to do that. And then the Adoree factor there, like, concussion, it feels like it's going to take more time just to begin with. But yeah, like if it's a 50-50 situation there, I think it's absolutely, like, you play Jacorian. Even listening to Fangio's presser, right, whenever he was being asked about it, I thought it was interesting because he could have gone one route of being like, we kind of see what happens, or blah blah, just kind of make some, not like, don't take a specific direction, but he at least admitted to himself, or admitted to the media, saying like, we haven't seen enough. I honestly don't know where I fall. Is he the answer? Is he not the answer? He didn't get to play enough. We were just starting to get those because he had gotten some practices in, and then he barely played in a game. He got injured. but he doesn't even know yet. So, maybe the silver lining, if we're not believing or buying into Adoree Jackson or certainly Kelee Ringo, is the fact that you get an opportunity. Maybe if you can get him in this game, he could play some snaps there. The bye week, as we continue to say, is a huge, huge beneficial point for a lot of reasons, for all the guys getting injured or who have been injured to get healthy. But if you do that, Jacorian gets some more practices in, maybe coming off the bye week against Green Bay. I like what you've seen from Jacorian. Adoree Jackson, I think Anthony's still here on the chat. I saw him a second ago. Shout out to Anthony DeBona. He's probably the biggest Adoree Jackson supporter.
He is. He is.
Adoree's been, if you look at the stats, he's been better than the eye test. Because I think the eye test, we look at it and you're like, man, there's Adoree. It feels like he gets beat a lot. And he probably doesn't as much because, again, you look at the stats and where he gets grades out and the coverage and numbers and everything like that. But I don't know if it's like he's getting beat in like situationally really heightened times where it's like, oh, okay, there's Adoree. Like, gave up another third down or something like that. But I understand it because there's a camp of like, well, hey, actually, it hasn't been too bad. But I would also agree with what Anthony said too so far. It's like how Adoree has played when he's been healthy. He's had some moments, but overall, how Adoree's played. If you had a better pass rush, and the one was getting sacks,
yes,
we probably wouldn't even be talking about it. It would be one of those that's just kind of like a little bit of an annoyance. Like, okay, he's not Q, but we don't expect him to be Q. And he gives up a pass here or there. But overall, it's like, you know what? Hey, he's doing a pretty solid job. But we haven't had either of those. So I think it makes both sides look worse because they're kind of hurting each other.
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, Anthony DeBona had a great tweet today where he blind showed you like Darius Slay, Isaiah Rodgers versus Adoree Jackson. And I think Adoree Jackson looked pretty good, right?
Slay is getting cooked. I mean,
that whole defense
so
is getting shredded.
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy how like bad they all are. And so I think Philadelphia did dodge a bullet. We love Slay, but it's so far, it looks like they dodged a bullet there with just the money. I just be curious what Jacorian can do. He's just been so, like he comes over in the middle of training camp, and then he just doesn't have time to figure things out. And then he's a backup, and then he gets thrown in there for a couple of plays, has done a decent job, and he gets hurt. I just feel like he hasn't had the time, kind of like Jahan Dotson last year. He never really felt quite, like a part of the team, like comfortable would be the proper word. And so I would just be curious to see what he looked like out there. And this is not, Justin Jefferson. This is not Jordan Addison he's going up against. It's Wan'Dale Robinson and a bunch of nobodies who torched Kelee Ringo a couple of weeks ago. But I'd be curious what he can do this weekend if Adoree Jackson is unable to go. But we'll see.
Yeah. Philly with the 10. Anybody going to the game Sunday? Surely there's lots of people in the chat. I'm sure people have answered and responded by now.
Somebody said earlier they were going from Virginia up, so somebody is. Yep. Yes.
David or Dave. I think there's probably multiple. Between the 1,400 some odd people on the chat, I would imagine that there's got to be at least a couple more besides those. But should be a good time.
People are.
Get the win, get right. We're kind of already the get right from Minnesota, but get right going into the bye. Have the positive momentum. 2 wins in a row. Get guys healthy after it. Take some time to rest, as we were talking about there, and then Green Bay game at Lambeau Monday night.
You will be there.
How does that?
You will be there. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm so pumped. I'm
going to be a lot of
fun. Corey with a 20 bomb, dude. Appreciate that. Nothing but support. That's all it is. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Corey.
Amen, Corey. Dave also with 10. Dave, I didn't see a comment here, but I did see the super chat here. We appreciate it. If you've got a comment, let me know. You don't have to super chat back. I can throw it up here on the screen. Otherwise, if it's just support, we appreciate it either way. So you guys are the best. I think that was just double check and make sure. Did I miss one? I might have missed one for a second.
Did you?
I think I did. I overlooked one. Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry. Yes. Okay, this is the other one. Sorry, Riley. I got you. I don't know how it skipped, whatever. But the 2, and it says thoughts on the profile picture, which is I like it. It's us from it's actually from a long time ago, but from the Smitty softball game with the pick that we took. So it's not
there.
A bad
you go.
Pick. I like it.
Let's go. Yep.
We appreciate that. And Nate with a 2 right here says, does Vic like Ringo or is it Howie? I think it's Howie.
Probably Howie. I think it's Howie.
That's his pick. He likes his Philly dogs in general, but I think he likes Kelee. I feel like, it is speculating, but just like reading between the lines, is he the answer? Is he not the answer? Kelee getting his snaps, the way that Vic's spoken about it in the past. And then, you think about even Zay getting signed or not getting signed, but trying to make that attempt there. It's like, it just felt like all along that it was not as much of an emphasis, not as much of how we're putting a I know they said like, okay, priority Zach Bond and Isaiah Rodgers, which was probably to a certain extent the case, but it's like, okay, how much, and what all was told of like, is it okay, you're gonna give these snaps to Kelee Ringo? Was it telling Isaiah Rodgers, we want you here, but Ringo is the guy, as we've talked about a lot of different times. So I would, if I had to pick, I would say it's probably Howie, but maybe a combo.
It could be a combo. But he just hasn't figured it out. And Vic keeps saying hopefully one day, but it's not been that day so far this season.
Yep. All right, couple more super chats here before we wrap. Philly with the 10 Philly Special Show memberships. Let's go, 10 of those.
That's nice, very nice.
Heck yeah, absolutely. Sit those 10 individuals getting that. That's big time. Appreciate that. And then also John with a 2. It ain't us, that's for sure. Regarding Ringo, so it's
you say so. You say so.
It's not us.
Yeah.
It's maybe Howie, maybe Vic.
Maybe Vic.
Okay. Andrew, you could rewind this and watch it back through. Is this clickbait or did something actually happen? It's literally injury report. We're not doing anything about the drama and everything for AJ, but yes, injury report, hamstring injury, AJ DNP. But as we were going live, there's a little bit of news, so it's maybe not as serious, thankfully. But yeah, you can rewind that, get the full recap as we talked about and discussed. But yeah, we appreciate you guys. I guess as we're wrapping here, last thing, if you're ready for it, if not, no worries. But score prediction for the Giants game, have you thought that far yet? Are we going?
Yeah. Do they get to 30? You'd like to think. I think it's still going to be tough. I just think that they win. I feel like vengeance is going to be a real key word here. Revenge is going to be extremely important to them. Joe Carter mentioned it, a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to go. I'll go 27-20. I think that sounds fine. I like it to be 27-17, but I'll go 27-20. I respect Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo, and that defensive line. I really do.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, they're night and day difference since he took over. So the little subtle shot that perhaps Sean Payton took and then backtracked. A little interesting for Russell Wilson and all that, but neither here nor there. Okay, I'm honestly I'm about in that same area. It feels like almost every week I'm like 24, 27. It's kind of that same number. So, the spread is 7.5, and I really want us to cover that just to be like, okay, there's no doubt. Could we win by multiple possessions? That would also be nice.
Right.
I'm gonna say. What the heck? I'll say 30-20. I'm gonna go just
okay.
to the field goal. But
I like
points,
that.
30 to 20.
I hope you're right.
Score 30, hold them to 20.
I
kind
hope
of
you're right.
return to sender for last time, but
there you go.
We'll see. Damon's with a 20 bomb at the buzzer with the Go Birds. Appreciate that, and also Corey actually just saw another one here for a second. Corey with the 40-14 Eagles. I need that for my soul.
Let's hope.
I mean, we'll all sign up for that. My gosh.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Help the point differential too. Get us off the +5 or whatever it's at right now. It'd be nice to do that. So go into the bye week that way. All right. I think that does it for us though. Appreciate you guys as always. Make sure to like and subscribe. Crazy giveaways as always, but more to come. So stay tuned, and we will see you guys until next time. Go Birds.
Go Birds.